Hello. Thank you for coming to the third episode of Daydreaming. As you can probably see here, I have somebody else with me, and that is largely in part to the subject that I'm going to be talking about today. So if you would care to introduce yourself for the people that clicked on this video.
Hi, my name is Amanda, and I will be joining Stu
For this episode's breakdown. So we're going to be talking about relationships in film, TV, games, whatnot. We are not dating. Nobody makes that sort of...
Every time we like to play basketball, and one of the things that people confuse us is as a couple relationship.
Which is crazy, because we also go playing basketball with my buddy, who she's actually
Engaged
to. Not dating, engaged.
Sorry.
So, for all of you thirsty monsters already typing away in the comment section like, hey, turn the camera more towards her, I'm still the star of the show, and she is very much not single, so let's focus back. So the breakdown of this episode is just relationships in all forms of media, and how some relationships can be very good, and some get sort of lazy, forced, and ideas like that. And I figured, who better to talk about that than a guy who's been single for 98% of his life? And then I got some feedback from you. And you're like, maybe someone who's actually been in a relationship longer than a week could probably chime in on.
10 years.
So, she's probably got a better outlook on this sort of thing than I do. Like that much. So, we're going to be breaking down this video into sort of like three separate sections here. Number one is exactly what is the relationship, whether it's romantic or platonic, the will theys and won't theys of the relationships that sort of create 99% of like the action drama relationships in film, television, and games. The forced romances, why some just come out of left field like, hey, these characters are having sex now. Isn't that cool? That's what you wanted to see, right? And it isn't. It usually isn't. In the chemistry that goes around them. And then lastly, sex scenes. And sort of just leaving it to the imagination, essentially. And you don't always have to see them like going at it. So I want to say like a week or two ago, this guy invented this, the fuck is it? Like this sort of website that you can go on, and you could see all sorts of sex scenes. It's called pornography. I want to say it's been around for about a week or so now. And you can just like sort of check that out if you really want to see like an in-depth sex scene. So you don't really need it in film and TV games. But that's where we're at right now. So as per usual, make sure that you have a drink. You put your phones on silent and just sit back and relax. Thank you. Cheers. Let's enjoy the show.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
Okay. So this is a start. And this one's probably better for you to kind of chime in on. And in the relationships, I generally prefer the characters are already together versus not, because if they're not together, we get that usual, you've probably seen it a million times, it's a will they, won't they.
Of course.
So the characters are pretty much like bickering and arguing and other stupid shit that, you know, we've seen 14-year-olds do a million times. And like as an adult, like when I was a kid, I was like, oh man, I wonder if these two are gonna get together. But like as an adult who's seen like more than one film ever,
Right.
I'm like, okay, I know they're gonna get together. Can we just like skip the bullshit and get to the part where they're actually like talking like human beings would?
Right. Well, so from a female perspective, here's the thing about it. Who do you want to gear your audience to? We have these Lifetime movies, but they already know what they want to be. You know, where they have these cheesy, you know, romance plots. Cheesy. But we love them.
Okay.
But that's where it's kind of like out of left field. So have you ever heard of the show You on Netflix?
Okay, so I've heard about it. I haven't like actually checked it out myself yet, but I have, yes, heard about it.
So that is an example for me that gears towards both the male and female audience. Because you have Penn Badgley, who plays the main character, the male. He's a little stalkerish, but he has some interesting qualities that some men want. And that females actually, you know, are, ooh, this guy's like sexy and...
I love that you think committing crimes is sexy. Aren't you involved? Isn't your job revolved around the law? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
That's sexy to you?
But here's where film and TV becomes so important is because you just evolve yourself in this fantasy world that separates. Yeah, we want reality.
Yeah.
But there's a moment where... Go ahead, chime in.
And I'm not fighting the, you know, disbelief, like the, you know, the separating it and being like, okay, fine, this is how it could run. I'm okay with that. I get it. I get that it isn't real. That's the whole point of the cameras. But if a dude stalking you is what gets you going, like, we might need to discuss a few things.
So then also maybe that's what makes it really conflicting, is because you sit here and you romanticize a psychopath.
Right.
And that is when you really look into yourself and you're like, wait a minute. Is this show that good, or am I messed up?
and honestly, it's a little bit of both. It's usually both. Like, okay, this relationship, like, yeah, it's kind of cute. Like, this is where the Joker Harley thing comes in, where everybody asks like, oh man, I wish I had a relationship like Joker and Harley. But like, if you know what a relationship is, like, oh wow, these two are fucking terrible, and one or both of them is gonna die in this relationship. And it really, for me, it fucks things up. Because it's like, there are limits to things that you can, and maybe I'm just talking from experience. Like, I have a very different experience when it comes to women and this sort of thing. Like, I couldn't do that stalking thing. But I was literally, holy shit.
Right.
More than once, dragged in a car with one of my friends to the girl's house. He's like, oh, I just want to, like, see what's going on. I was like, what? You want to what now? you want to... I just want to drive by real quick and just see like how everything's going. I was like, oh, cool. You're gonna like stop inside and like just see if they're coming out. Nah.
How could this happen to me?
This is a crime. This is a crime. I'm an accessory. This is a crime, and I didn't get out. So, yeah.
We see that part of relationships, and that's where it's now becoming a phenomenon. This whole you thing. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Because it really, that's what I like about it. Because you really have these conflicting emotions. He murders someone, and you're like, you know what? That girl should have died for the love. And then afterwards, when you're... when you're sitting, you're like, maybe there's something wrong with me.
I just want to scream.
Go check it out, guys. Tell me what you think. Am I right or am I wrong? I'm just saying, ladies. You tell me.
You're something. You're definitely something for that statement. Okay. So we're gonna just like fast forward through that one because I'm actually not a shrink, and I don't think I have the ability to break that one down. Why that was. Will they? Won't they's? So this one bothers me. This one bothers me because it's always will they. Not, like, they never don't end up together, except for, like, what, 4 movies? And those 4 movies are nothing special. You probably can't name any of them. that the two characters, they were like in love with each other throughout the entire time. We're like, you know what, maybe we're not good together. Holy shit, did you guys just have a moment of self-reflection? Wow, what a powerful statement. But I feel like it's lazy, and that's really why it doesn't work for me. Because, and this is really why I think characters should just start off together, because fixing a relationship, understanding the relationship, communicating with each other is what it should be about. It shouldn't be about the, oh man, this person is cute, but like, do I really want to be with them? Or do I really, really want to be with them? It's like, yo, we're not 16.
Right.
Like, if your characters are younger, I can vibe with that. Because kids are stupid.
Right.
And they don't know what they want. But like, if your characters are 30 and they're still playing this game, it's like, alright, this is going to be a long movie.
So a movie that I recently saw is Marriage Story.
Okay.
It's with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. So I'm about to get married. I haven't been married yet. But what I enjoyed about this film is they've already been together. They're a married couple. And it shows you, in the beginning clip, they're going to therapy and they have to talk about what they liked about their significant other. Scarlett Johansson's character doesn't want to read it and doesn't want to say it in front of him. And it goes into, like, divorce. And I feel like that's such a hard thing to talk about, you know? So what I loved about it was it just showed you the good and the bad times. And that through divorce, you can actually also, oh, hey, they had a kid together. You can actually be co-parents and not be together and be okay.
You can.
And it was so real and so realistic, and just the rawness of it was fantastic. And Adam Driver, that one got me because it was different from his Star Wars character, which was whatever. Or I can do with or without.
It's certainly a character, yes.
And then Adam Driver just fucking
knocked it out the park.
Knocked out the park, and I said, well, you should have done this first and then Star Wars, and maybe we would have seen, you know.
Driving the wrong boat, Eddie.
But that's what I like to see. So that was just an example for me of seeing someone already in a relationship, whether it goes south or it actually works out. But you see the connection or what they go through, and that's real. Okay.
So yeah, you know, and I think we're on the same page on that one, and it's just more rewarding to see people work it out
100%
than it is to see them get together, because we know what happens after that like fairy tale moment. Like they get together and then it's like, oh shit. I think Daniel Tosh on Tosh Point said it best. It's like, it's hard to stay attracted to someone you share the same bathroom with. And he's on point with that, because once the magic disappears and you're like, oh wow, there's hair everywhere, or this motherfucker doesn't flush twice, or what were you eating before you came home? Like that old, the illusion is somewhat broken.
100%, I agree.
So that will they won't they doesn't matter, because all that matters is what happens after date number 8, when they're like, oh shit, now they're coming over frequently.
Right.
What is this person going to be like?
Like, of course, we all love the chase. We all love the adventure.
Yeah.
But we all know what happens after the chase.
Everyone.
We all know what happens after the adventure. You got the girl, you got the guy, and then what?
It ends in a half a bottle of Chardonnay and some bad love music. Usually Maxwell, if you're lucky, and the guy's black. But if not, it's just Chardonnay and whatever the mixtape was that the guy forgot to erase from high school.
Pretty much. Self-explanatory.
Right? So the next subject that we're going to break down is kind of forced romances, and just how the couples that end up out of nowhere, as well as like building up chemistry to make sure like it really works right. Yeah, you might want to refill your glass, because this one's probably going to be, no, the last one's going to be the heaviest, but this one's going to be a little heavy.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
So, forced romances. Obviously they're bad. The name says it. But what really makes a forced romance so soulless for me is that it's usually just two characters with one personality trait that match a little bit and nothing else. There's no chemistry built. There's no, okay, these characters like and can bounce off each other. There's no understanding of why they wouldn't or wouldn't work. It's just, usually, 99% of the time, it's, hey, you know these two A-list actors that we just paid $30 million a piece to be in this movie? They're getting naked. Period. We paid too much for them to not get naked. So, here's 4 minutes. Do your thing, internet.
Pretty much. I mean, so for me, if a TV show, The 100, is make it controversial, but a lot of same-sex couples are forced. And I feel like if there's chemistry, then okay, it can work. But in The 100, the main character, Clark, she is first with a guy, you know, they're in a relationship in this dystopia world, and then she meets a leader of another nation, whatever you want to call it. They're working together, and in these episodes, they're friends. You don't see any sexual tension.
At all.
At all. And then all of a sudden, it's a little, the hair, moving of the hair. Every time. And then they start kissing, and I was like, excuse me?
Oh, okay. This is happening now.
This is happening. And then cutscene, because it's CW. Cutscene, and then they're in bed, and they're like talking, and then more of this. I'm like, how did this get here? How did we get here?
Yeah.
How did this happen? Where was the chemistry?
And if you want your characters to have sex randomly, okay, fine. But are they a character that would do that? Or are they just having sex?
Right.
Like, I think one show that does it all right is like, I'm probably going to talk this show like to death. But Archer. Archer is kind of a dickhead who loves to have sex and get drunk and be an asshole.
Don't answer that. I have to. Sorry. It's Mother. Mother, hey. I cannot believe you. Just a second. No, turn it on. I can do both. What?
I'm sure you wouldn't use operational funds for personal expenses.
Come on, 22 black. 22 black. 22 black. Ass, son of a bitch. Not you, giant African man. I'm sorry. Can I offer you a drink? How about this expensive prostitute?
So if he has sex with a random person, yeah, that's what he would do.
Right.
Like, whether he is in love with someone or not, he's having sex. That's who he is.
He's like James Bond.
Yeah, essentially. Even though he actually does not care for the comparison.
Oh, interesting.
No, he does not like it. He's like, I don't really like to invite the comparison, but you know, he'll take it. He'll definitely take it. But yeah, in building chemistry is super important, at least to me, because I think it tells us a lot about why the duo works. Like another common example for me is Uncharted. So yes. Nathan and Elena work awesome together.
Oh, love that couple.
And she's not just like some random Nate comes to save her. She actually saves his ass a lot.
She's a true ride or die.
Oh, she is. She is the most ride or die in gaming ever. And why does she exist? She doesn't exist so Nate could have someone to bang. She exists because she has her own goals. She's a photographer. She chases stories. She has this complex, interesting understanding of the world around her. She wants to be in this world.
Right.
So everything she does is fueled by the desire to be more involved in this sort of world. Nate just happens to be someone that she interacts with. And they slowly grow closer and closer together over the course of the games. That's a relationship. There's chemistry. They don't end up together until game 4.
Yeah.
I mean, you could essentially say they're together by the end of the 3rd game, but they're not truly married and together until game 4's beginning or 3's end. So there's a lot of buildup. There's a lot of understanding. These characters know why they work well together and the things that piss each other off about each other.
Absolutely.
And like that's chemistry. And I'm not saying that every like romance should take 18 hours in order for us to like understand why these two are together. But like there's very few deviations from the will Drake end up with Elena. There's Chloe for a little bit, but for the most part, we knew he was still going to be with Elena.
Because it was natural.
Yeah.
It wasn't forced.
No.
At all.
And I think a lot of writers should really just say, before they even get to the writing stage, do you want these characters together? And I feel like a lot of them don't. I haven't seen it yet, but I hear Ray and Kylo have a little bit of a thing.
You gotta watch the movie.
I should, but that at no point were they even like hinting at those two being together.
So, I don't really know much about Star Wars, so I can't be an expert, but I'm an expert at relationships.
Okay.
So, it is not really too hinted. It's hinted because we know how films work.
Yeah.
Not because of how the movie was written.
Yeah.
You have a male and a female, and there's like some, conflict there, and you're like,
they have
tension.
Sexual tension.
So when you watch the new movie, you see it, and then it finally, boom, it happens. And you're like, alright.
Cool.
Whatever. I'm not excited. I'm not thrilled.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
If they weren't
chemistry.
together, it wouldn't have changed your thoughts on anything at all.
Right.
It adds nothing to the story.
Exactly. So, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. That's why it really fell flat to me. God, it just... Why are they together? Why are so... Really? That's really what I want to peel back the lens. So, if we took away whatever thing that pushed these two characters together, like in Rey and Kylo's instance, it was their like opposing sides of the Force.
Right.
Their ideologies like conflicting with each other, but their understanding of each other.
Right.
Like if that part had been dived into, I'd be a little bit more on board. But it would have had to have been expressed from day one.
Exactly.
And then I would have been like, okay, these two always felt some type of way about each other, but it was a little Romeo and Juliet story. Hey, I'm on the light side of the Force. Well, I'm a Montague. And then slowly they end up together. I'd be okay with that. I mean, like, Star Wars is still kind of dumb. I love Star Wars, but it's still kind of dumb. But at least if they had it told from day one that these two could be a thing, I'd be a little bit more on board with it.
And I agree with you. Like the recent Star Wars, it was starting to come together, but it was a little too late. And that's what made me super disappointed in it.
It was.
Because it could have developed, and I would have been so on board with it, but that's it. It's over now. There's nothing to move forward from.
Yeah. Alright. So, now that we've successfully broken down why characters should or shouldn't be together, there comes, probably in my opinion, the laziest part of romance stories, and that are the unnecessary sex scenes, in my opinion. Which is weird. Yeah, I know. A guy doesn't want to see more sex scenes in movies. I'm going to break down on that one. Yeah. It's so lazy. It's... whatever.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
So, sex scenes. In my opinion, and I know this might sound weird, the laziest tool in film. Why? I mean, it's not just lazy, it's kind of useless. I think I was talking to you about this earlier before we even started filming is okay, so yes, the reason why sex scenes are kind of like pointless to me is usually it's just to get the audience like enticed in like the moment or anything like that.
Right.
But so ever since porn became a thing ever, it's like, oh wow, these two characters are super hot. I can't wait for them to get together. But I mean, like, I promise you can turn on literally put 3 X's anywhere in your website search and you're gonna find something far superior. That's
right.
what the internet is now.
Right.
So why do we need to see it here? Does it actually add anything? And I don't think it ever does. I don't know if you have any experience where you're like, oh wow, these two characters, like this sex scene is like, not if it being hot or anything. Mm-hmm. Was it worth it? Did it do anything as far as like the story or characters? Okay.
The only thing I feel like a sex scene can be relevant if it's geared towards violence.
Okay.
So, God, I hate saying this, but like if it's something about rape.
Yeah.
Or a tell of a male character, or even a female character.
Yeah.
Like the show You that I'm gonna bring up again. So he is this psychopath, and what is very intriguing about this sex scene is the girl is a little rough, so they're having sex, and she was choking him a little bit, and then you see his eyes widen because he's like, oh, okay, a challenge. And that was a little sneak peek. Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, but that was a little sneak peek of her character. So something like that was actually pretty cool. But other than that, what is it trying to do? It's trying to, like you said, entice people. But does it add to the story? Only if it's trying to tell you something significant about the character.
Okay, so a sex scene done right, in my opinion, is going to be Daenerys and Khal Drogo. So
that's a good one.
So there's a few sex scenes, obviously, in Game of Thrones between the two, where it starts off where she's essentially a brood sow, which is
right.
Just a woman who's meant to just have the babies of another individual. And that's all she is. She's just a tool for him to use. And it's fucked up, and it's dark, and it's to show her at her absolute lowest point. But she starts talking to some of the other women. They're like, oh, if the men in our tribe, like, if you let them dominate you, they're going to dominate you, you're going to be a piece of trash. But if you fucking take control, and you tell that nigga, I'm in charge of this scene, like, you get power. And since you're dealing with Khal goddamn Drogo, if you control him, you own the tribe. And she's like, bet. And she does.
And she uses it to her advantage, and that is actually a really good example.
And that's a sex scene done right. Most of them are not that. Most shows are not that sexy. Most shows are just two characters that are attractive having sex, and it's like, cool.
Right.
Cool.
That's all it is.
Haven't seen this one before. I wonder what's gonna happen next. You guys are gonna cut before the money shot, and then the next shot, the cover is gonna be right above her breast.
Right here.
But just to show a little bit of cleavage, just a little bit. He's gonna get out of bed at some point. We're gonna see his whole ass, all of it. Maybe a couple nut hairs whenever he walks. And you see, like, between his legs, like, God, I ain't signed up for this.
Even 50 Shades of Grey was cringeworthy. Even that was supposed to be sexy and hot. It was so cringeworthy.
I think my dick actually retracted inside of me. Like, just watching that movie.
It was not done well at all. No. And I saw every film. I went to the movies to watch it.
That movie was just supposed to be sex scene as the movie. And it
failed.
Oh, man. It's like a Spider-Man movie with no webs. It's like, how the fuck did you pull this one off? It's almost impressive, really. Yeah. So I don't know. They're just lazy to me. You can skip ahead. Think of any sex scene in most films, most movies, most TV shows, most games. Mm-hmm. If you were to rip out that sex scene, that minute-long sex scene, which is you know, as far as Hollywood is concerned, pretty average estimate of most guys these days. And then you just rip that out and just skip to after it.
Right.
What did you miss? What would you be like, oh wow, without this, like why are these characters like this? Why is this? Nothing. You don't lose anything. You don't lose a damn thing, and that's really what my problem is with it. Is that nothing is lost. It's just cool.
And I 100% agree.
Yeah.
The only other show that I know that did it to their advantage and used it as a comedy was Fleabag.
Okay, yeah.
And so the main character, I can't pronounce her name, it's super British. I apologize. Do you remember?
It's not Phoebe, but it looked like Phoebe.
It looked like Phoebe, but I don't know. So she's having sex with this guy, and she just looks at the audience and is commenting on the sex that she's having. And it distracts you from the awkwardness of it.
Yeah.
And she's using it to her advantage and making it funny. And making sex kind of enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's not awkward when I'm watching two people have sex and it's like, oh God, he's ugly or she's ugly.
Right.
They're fucking and it's
You can watch it with your parents and laugh.
Exactly.
And that, I think, is a sex scene done perfectly.
I hated that.
Yeah.
Watching a movie or a TV show and you're with your family.
And then everybody looks at their Bible just to be like, oh man, this is gross. I can't.
Because it was so unnecessary. And now, thank you. You have forced me to watch this cringe-worthy sex scene with my mother next to me. And I have to pretend that I've never had sex before.
Right? Everybody's sitting there.
What's happening?
What is this? What are they wrestling? What is this occurrence? I've never seen such a vile scene. God would not approve.
Right. Like, cover your eyes. I don't know what's happening.
Shield yourselves. Hide your children.
So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
Say 15 Hail Marys. Why? Why is it in there? Why? That's not.
So if you can take those sex scenes out, you would have saved me all the trauma that I have endured.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
That's what you would have saved a lot of people.
100%. Now, European films. I don't know if you've seen a lot of foreign films.
I haven't seen a lot, but I've seen a few.
So the one that stands out, and this has been called like one of the ultimate sex scenes. It's very long. So it's called Blue is the Warmest Color.
I've heard the name.
So it's two, here we go, lesbians. They want to throw it in there. So it's this couple, and I kid you not, they show everything. And I actually did some research because
Blue is the Warmest.
But they show everything. And I'm trying to research and figure out how they did the sex scene because it is so raw. I'm saying just fully naked women going at it for 18 minutes.
Hi, how are you?
I just wanna...
You're searching?
No. I'll just, continue.
So if you're looking for, no. But something
There
like
won't
that.
be any links to the description.
But that was one that really threw me for real. And you see the comparison on the USA, we're super taboo with like sex and stuff, but that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about, does it add any value? Do we learn anything about the character?
Yeah.
Not, wow, this is so hot, let's just add it.
Yeah.
Because that's not talent. That's just laziness.
It really is. And it's funny that you mentioned 50 Shades of Grey before, because that really could have told us, especially since I think Christian Grey is supposed to be this super tormented soul because of the sexual encounters that he's had throughout his life.
Mm-hmm.
So if we see that every time he does any like his S&M shit, like he retches a little bit,
right,
or he gets angrier and angrier as like the scene progresses, then we'd be like, okay, this takes a toll on him. He's not doing this because he loves it. He's doing it because this is the only way he can get out of the system. Okay.
So, there is a scene in the first movie. He's slapping her bottom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Slapping.
You can say butt. It's not censored.
No, but I purposely wanted to say it. So he's slapping her ass like, da, da. And then I guess he slapped it too hard and she's like, oh my God, you monster. And I'm like, No. It should have been like him choking her or something more aggressive.
It could have been an actual act of aggression.
Right, but just like, no, come on. A slap on the
You
ass.
monster?
You monster. Or whatever she said. But she ran out and stormed out and was like, oh my goodness. No. A slap on the ass? Really, lady?
She looks like the type of girl that calls time out during sex.
That's what it. That's
like she actually throws an actual towel when she needs to take a break.
Right. Poorly done. Poorly done.
So those are kind of the breakdowns of good relationships, bad relationships, the necessity of like chemistry whenever you're working on any sort of individuals. And this doesn't necessarily lock itself into just romantic relationships. It can be platonic. If you build up platonic relationships between guys and guys, guys and girls, girls and girls, like it can be powerful, it can be useful, it could show like how camaraderie affects all different facets of our life.
Right.
And how even familial bonds can like go on to like, you know, intimate relationships and things like that. But you've got to build on it. You've got to get there. And you can't just like use cheap tools like sex scenes and be like, oh, this is all I need.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it. What do you want?
So, yeah, thank you again for joining me. Thank you all for listening to me essentially just ramble. I don't know why you keep clicking on the link, but you know, I appreciate it. And this is us just breaking down good and bad relationships. You can say your final thoughts and then I'll tell everybody to piss off. I mean, I'll thank everybody for their time and support.
No, I encourage everyone to really, when they start watching more TV and film, to look at their relationships. What do you guys prefer? Do you prefer people just meeting, or do you prefer them having a relationship already? You know, it's our personal opinion, but that's something you definitely want to look at when you're watching, even video games as well.
Yeah. I think the thing to really consider with relationships is same thing you consider in like real relationships. Because that's what I feel like a lot of people really turn to the fictional ones for, is to see the things that can go right and wrong within them. I know I say this in pretty much every one of my videos, but it's all about how much the individual creating the work cares. So if they care about those relationships and they want to see them succeed, then they've also considered the things that can make them fail. And unless you really start to allow yourself to understand what makes them work or what makes them fail, then you're not going to create a real relationship that people are going to like. And you're really not going to create something that you're going to like.
I totally agree.
So, yeah, that's, this one is going to be the show. Look for what you want to see in a relationship, and the more you watch and the more shows you see with like pre-built relationships versus relationships that will become, you'll really notice the ones that are like lazy, and you really have to take your time with it.
Absolutely.
It isn't gonna, there is no such thing as an overnight relationship. It just can't happen. So when you really see the authors that care about what these two individuals are going to, what sort of like path they're going to be on, and why they're there together, then it's really going to start becoming like worthwhile. And you're going to be happier when you like look at these sort of things like, oh, I'm happy that they got here because they're happy they got here. They're happy they got here because the author really wanted them to get there.
It's good writing, and it's just effort.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to every time. So, with that said, thank you all again for joining me, Stuart Thomas, and of course,
Amanda.
And hope to see you all next time. With that said, I got like 3 Tinder dates, so I'm just gonna like ignore everything I just said and we'll do that. Thank you for joining. Catch you later. Make sure that you close the behind you. Bye.
And I'm getting married. Woo!
Cool. you crying?
Because I'm 50 Shades of fucked up.
What does that mean? No! What does any of this mean? For real! For real, please! Someone, just educate me what the fuck I'm watching! This is 50 Shades of fucked up. What? I think I realized why that scene earlier bothered me. Why the one where it could have been the super touching moment. Because this isn't a movie. This is a series of scenes with no inherent logic or story meant to be there. It's just a bunch of events forcing a narrative. This isn't bad because it's not built up. It's bad because it's hollow. No one who's a part of this, except maybe Dakota Johnson, who, bless your heart for giving this any sort of goddamn effort, because no one else is. Except maybe the sister, best friend, whatever the fuck she's supposed to be. No one gives a shit. 50 Shades of fucked up. Shut up. You're an idiot.